Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the TradingPub.com daily report. And real quick today, just to kind of give you a preview of what we're going to be looking at, the two markets we're going to focus on, obviously the E-mini S&P, we always take a look at that, take a look at the overnight levels that we saw and the numbers that we think will be important for today, and also going to be taking a look at the Swiss franc contract, which is a very interesting contract based on the past 30 days of trading, so we'll talk about that in 1 second. Real quick before we get started, give you a second to read through this risk disclaimer. And just to kind of go over a couple of news items that we've got on the agenda today, we've got some Fed speak going on with FOMC members speaking, and then we've got Chairman Bernanke testifying as well, along with factory orders at 9 o'clock Central Time, which is 10 o'clock Eastern. We have ECB President Trichet speaking in about a minute, so that should be very important, and definitely watch for moves in the euro. So some overnight news that's important to note is the fact that Morgan Stanley's been downgraded. So again, seen a lot of pressure on Morgan Stanley due to their exposure in French banks. So if you're trading right now, a couple things you've got to keep an eye on your quote page. Number one, we talked about it yesterday, you've got to watch the euro. Extremely important to watch the euro. Number two, you need to watch these financial stocks, these U.S. banks, because if things keep getting worse and worse, you continue to see selling. For instance, we saw Bank of America, Citigroup, large U.S. banks down 10% yesterday at times. If you continue to see that kind of weakness, it's going to be hard for the market to make any type of rally. So again, extremely important to understand that. All right, now let's take a look at the S&P first. So we'll pull that chart up. And here's a look at the overnight session. If you notice, we opened the Globex. Here's the Globex open. We had a really strong sell-off yesterday afternoon. Notice we had rallied up in the morning. We had ISM news that was actually better than expected. You saw it spike up to about 1134, 1135. We came back down, and you saw the market continue to sell once we broke through that 1115, 1116 area. So we were really keyed in on the 1116 area. We actually came down, had several bottoms at 1115, and then once we broke that, it was kind of lights out for the market. You saw the market continue to sell. There was really no good support. The only bit of support we saw was when the bell rang at 3:15, and that stopped the selling. So again, we had a Globex open around the 1084, 1085 area. We saw a nice little pop up to 87, 89 throughout the early Asian session, came back down, rallied back up, and you see we had a high at 95. So a couple numbers to keep in mind here are going to be 1089 to 1090 and then 1095 on the S&P to the upside. We then began to sell off again, and you saw lows here around 77, 78. So again, that'll be a key area to watch. That was the first bounce after that sell-off. Watch 77, 78. Notice we rallied back to 87. So again, you see this 87 number again from the overnight session. Came back down and actually made a low down right around 1072. So we're going to be using 1072 for support. If we break that, we're looking at 1069 and then 1062 to the downside. Below 1062 is going to be 1055 to 1056. So again, we're getting into an area we haven't been in quite some time. It's important to watch. If you look at a daily chart of this, and I'll pull up a daily chart of the S&P, and you notice that we took out these lows here, so it's kind of, who knows where we're going from this point. Like I said, we can just use the numbers that we discussed, the 1069, 1062, and 1055 as areas to keep an eye on. But again, we'd like to see this market at least get a close higher than the previous day's high, so we can break this nice string that we've had of just lower lows every single day. Notice from about this day on, every single day has been a red day. We haven't had any closes higher than the previous day high. So people that have been short on this trend are able to continue moving their stops down until we take out a previous day's high. It's going to be tough to get any kind of trend reversal. So again, extremely important to watch those areas. Now let's take a look at the Swiss franc. And the reason that this is so important, the Swiss franc historically had been a flight to safety type market. And what you saw with the Swiss franc is you saw this, and let me bring up some crosshairs real quick. Okay, what you saw is this rally up, and again, Swiss franc, this was earlier in the year. There was lots of fear. People look at Switzerland for stability, and you saw it eventually spike up here at 142. The sell-off started. We came back, we started to rally again, and then the Swiss bank made an announcement that they were going to peg to the euro. Since then, we had that huge drop, came down about 10-12% and continued selling. And the thing to remember here, if they're pegging to the euro, we're continuing to see the euro get weaker, which means in a sense the Swiss franc should continue to get weaker. So until you see some strong buying start to step back into the Swiss franc, we feel like this is going to be a tough market to make money on the long side. So again, extremely important to watch, but again, kind of like the overall market, the Swiss franc has switched where it used to be risk averse type trade that would move up when the market was going down. Now we're seeing it move with the actual market because of its tied to the euro. So it was definitely a game changer in that sense. So keep an eye on the Swiss franc. Going to be an important one to watch. If you're trading the franc, you've got to be watching the euro. So again, we hope you all have a great day. If you'd like to join us for any Trading Pub events, you can go to TradingPub.com and click on the Pub Events column. We've got our next event on October the 6th, and that'll be at 8 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time. So again, you can go to TradingPub.com, click on Pub Events, and join us on Thursday.